Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Adi Om to everyone. Happy Monday, the day of the moon. Hope you all had a pleasant weekend. Put the philosophy into practice. Yes. That's the nice thing about life. Every day we can evolve our philosophy. And Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, says, every day I get up to kill my previous philosophy, right? Evolve, evolve. That means the mind, the evolution and the intelligence want to keep growing. If we're not growing, your philosophy will change into devolving. Yes. So we want to keep evolving. And so we're hearing how these rishis, these transcendentalists, their questions, how to evolve. They're asking the great Sutta Goswami, how do we evolve? So Sutta Goswami is answering them. And he said, the questions you have placed to me are beautiful because they are pertaining to Lord Sri Krishna. And so we are in a beautiful part of the chapter 2, right? From chapter 17, right now we reach 20, but it's nice to reread what it says. When you associate and you do devotional service to God, something happens. You develop a desire to hear more, right? It's described, let's read 17 again. Let's read 17 again, continue. It says, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Properly heard and chanted. So there's a phrase in the yoga community. If you still want to enjoy your material desires, I used to hear this in India a lot. They say, don't go read the Bhagavatam. Because the Bhagavatam is going to help you to enjoy in moderation. The Bhagavatam is going to teach you that it doesn't last forever. But if you want to stay in your illusion and think you're going to enjoy it to the fullest here, don't hear the Bhagavatam. So these rishis, they understood, they saw this universe as it is, for what it is. And so as we develop a taste to hear, that's a boon, because we've been gifted this ear. And we know, right? You can hear sounds, words, conversations, news in the mode of tamas, rajas, or sattva. So we hear things in the mode of tamas, we get influenced by it. We hear things in the mode of passion, we get influenced by it. We hear things in the mode of goodness, we get influenced by it. So the yogis are grateful for the ears, they're grateful for their eardrum, the auditory nerve. But what should we do with it? He's saying here, we should hear from bona fide sources when properly heard and chanted. So that's mantra 17. Let's go to mantra 18 again. He says, by regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead is praised with transcendental songs established as an irrevocable fact. So right here, we hear about two things that are important for our spiritual upliftment, he says here. the book Bhagavat, as we're reading it, and the person Bhagavat, someone who's living it. And I think I explained last night, right? A lot of devotees, some devotees would render service to, they got the service to wash Prabhupada's clothing, or some devotees go open a temple for Prabhupada. Some devotees did a lot of big service. But I met a devotee, his only service was open Prabhupada's door. Right? And just by that, he developed. So everyone have different opportunities to serve. This eliminates we call it Mayavad philosophy. This eliminates the philosophy that, you don't need a guru. You don't need a teacher. Sutta Goswami is so brilliant. He's saying, basically, if you want to learn piano, okay, I give you a piano, go figure it out. Or here's a teacher who I give you a piano and I give you a piano teacher, which is easier. Having the piano and having the teacher. So similarly saying the Bhagavatam is important. That's like the piano. But even more important is the person who is living the Bhagavatam, the vibration, the teacher who can teach you the Bhagavatam. And so as Srila Prabhupada translated it and brought it around the world, what devotees realized was he wasn't just a Sanskrit scholar. He wasn't just a translator. He was someone who was living it. What you find in the book, he was living. So that makes it even more powerful. So we want to render service to the Bhagavatam. That's what we are doing right now by studying the Bhagavatam, the book. We can also render service to a devotee. And my guru said, not every devotee is like Srila Prabhupada. But if you render service to another soul, another devotee, you will get benefit from it still. And if you meet a soul like Srila Prabhupada, perfection of life. Yes? So we develop this service attitude. We won't be looking around for, who's the pure devotee? No. There's a plant. Let me go serve that soul. There's an animal. Let me take care of this animal. There's another. Let me offer some service, right? Just now I was traveling through the airport and I had to use the restroom. I had to urinate. And when I was going in there, a guy was running in. So I understood right away, I can perform Mulaban. This soul needed to go. So I told him, sir, go ahead, take it before me. Right? Just little service like that. You don't have to wait to meet someone. No. Every soul, if we develop the service attitude, serve every creature you meet, we will develop a taste to hear the glories of God. Because Paramatma is in our heart. And so these mantras are so profound. You have to really meditate on them. Oh, wow. Next mantra, 19. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. So this is a nice mantra. Like in the Gita, this is a mantra that allows us to test our evolution. Every one of us can test. Am I getting free from anger? Am I getting free from greed? Am I getting free from material desires, right? So as we can test it. And then some days, we feel like we're floating and spiritual. Who have had those days, right? Like everything just fall into play. And then the next day, oh Lord, it's a challenge, right? We've all been there. So we want to, let's pick ourselves up. Let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. Let's hear the Bhagavatam some more. That's our service to hearing. Let's serve other living entities. We will develop as, souls in their bodies, and that God is also in their heart. So when we render service to another, these unwanted desires will go away. Anything from Rajas and Tamas starts to wash away. Next mantra. Mantra 20 is where we left off yesterday. It says, thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive, scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. In that stage of liberation, in that stage of liberation from all material association. So here, the Bhagavatam, when the Bhagavatam refer to knowledge, we're going to learn about so much scientific laws of this universe as we study the Bhagavatam. But then the Bhagavatam is also going to give us the most scientific knowledge. Does anyone, from the Gita, you should know this answer. What is the most scientific knowledge of the Vedas? Krishna, that's the first instruction Krishna gave Arjuna in chapter 2.
Oh, to know the soul?
Yes, the knowledge of the soul. And Krishna spends about 13 mantras describing the scientific knowledge of the soul. That the soul is immutable, cannot be burnt by fire, cannot be withered by the wind, cannot be drowned by water. The soul doesn't die when the physical body dies. The soul is eternal, Satchitananda. Krishna, that's it. So scientifically, we just heard about 13 mantras in the Gita. The Bhagavatam is going to explain the soul's nature with many more mantras for us. So as we meditate on it, it's like, oh wow. So scientific knowledge for the yogis, yes, we will learn scientific knowledge about the elements, earth, water, fire, air. Kapila, Canto 3. He breaks down the knowledge of this universe through the elements even more clearer than the periodic table, right? And then simultaneously, the Bhagavatam is going to show you more, expand on those 13 mantras of the nature of the soul. So that's where we left off last class. Let's go to our new mantra, mantra 21. So as material desires, we get liberation from them. Mantra 21. Sutta Goswami is speaking to this thousands of yogis in the forest. He says, thus, when you get devotional service, you start to wash away your desires in the heart, material desires and tamas and rajas. He says, thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as a master. So this is the journey of yoga, to become self-master. Master of the self. If we are not master of our senses, we will become, what's the other word? Opposite of master in our culture.
Slave.
Slave to the senses. So all of us have been slave to the senses, right? I remember when I went to the Krishna temple the first time in LA. And then it was their Sunday feast. And I tasted blueberry halava the first time. I've never tasted halava in my whole life, right? That doesn't exist in Belize. Who has tasted halava before? Right? It's a Persian traditionally it was brought to India, right? You don't find halava in South India. It's amazing because it's not part of Ayurvedic cooking. But when India got invaded, so you find it in North India. So halava became a part of delicacy. Man, it tasted so well. I told the person who was serving, can I have more, please? Slave to the tongue, right? The tongues. Yeah. So our senses pull us. But how if we can learn to be masters of them? After about a month in the ashram, eating so much halava, because they change it every day. One day it was peanut butter halava. Next one was peach halava, strawberry halava, right? After a month of halava, I was like, okay, I don't want to taste halava for the next 6 months, right? And then when I got to India, same thing. I never tasted rasgullas, jalebis, and same thing. The first month, No, 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 no. After okay, time to renounce these, right? And so we want to be master of the senses. So as a child, we understand this when we check it. Okay, so control of the mind, control of the senses, and Krishna gives us beautiful analogy in chapter 2, right? How do we control the senses? By the attachment, then it goes to anger, lust, anger, it breaks it down for us. You have to use your intelligence to kick it in. So, yes, as we grow spiritually, we want to become master of the senses, master of the mind, right? Whenever you meet someone who's evolving, you'll see they have control over their mind with higher spiritual intelligence. It doesn't matter which spiritual culture they come from. If you meet someone who is living in the mode of goodness, yes, they are control. They're a master of the self. So every one of us have this opportunity to become a master of the self every day, every moment of our life. And that's the nice thing about spiritual journey. We're swimming up river. And the second the second you relax, what happens if you're swimming up river? Push you back down the river, right? So every moment in life, we can see where we're at spiritually. We can, oh wow, I checked my senses today. Today I was a master of my senses. Tomorrow, wake up. What happens? Paramatma, Lord in the heart, sends you more challenges. Okay, master it. Next third day. So every day you evolve, evolve, evolve. And then we become, as we remove the tamas and rajas more and more, we become happy. I guarantee you, and you probably experienced it already, those moments when you were master of your senses, didn't you all become happy? Right? You become happy. So the rishis want us to be happy. We want to be happy. How do you do it? Why are you unhappy? Because you are a slave to the five senses, the six senses, the five gross, and the mind. So let's evolve together. Master of the senses. Let's go to the next one. Mantra 22. Srila Prabhupada translates. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, I love this phrase. Time immemorial. Who's heard that phrase before? Since time immemorial. It means when the time began, it really opens your mind to think. So Sutta Goswami is telling these rishis, certainly therefore, since time immemorial, all the successful transcendentalists, all those rishis, spiritual people, bhaktas, yogis, all of these transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight became because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. Yes. So we know when we are being selfish. When we are selfish, it's me, myself, and I. We get some happiness. But there's another type of enlivenment that comes when we serve other living creatures. And so my friends, right? They, well, Yogi Charu, they tell me, I don't believe in God. I said, that's all right. Go serve a cat, go serve a dog. You will tap into what it means to, to have devotion to a living entity. Yes. Go serve another living entity. Go serve the elders. Go serve, uh, and even some people, they take jobs, right? And their jobs, it's their nature, it's in service. So as you do it more and more, right? Nurses, doulas, all kind of amazing service. Then what happens? They realize, wait, you do something for a minute, for a long period of time. What do we realize after a while? Because you're serving others. What do we realize? Anyone?
You burn out, you're not serving yourself.
That's true, but
Or you're happy
that's
too,
another
but
point.
then
That's another point. Good. So that's if you're serving others, um, not in the mode of goodness, right? But if you're serving others in the mode of goodness, what will happen? That's a good one. That's if you're serving in the mode of rajas, too much overwork. But if you're serving in the mode of goodness, I'm looking for another phrase. But thank you, Margaret. Anyone else?
Forget your own unhappiness.
Yes, good. Thank
Your
you.
own problem.
Yes, that's good. I'm looking for another phrase. Anyone else wants to try? Again, there's no wrong answers, only incomplete answers. Let's hear someone else give it a
Uh,
go.
you transcend the modes of nature.
That's correct, but we want to feel something. When you transcend, what happens?
do you want to do it
Someone,
more?
yes, you want to do it more
Okay.
because you're getting happier and happier. Yes. Anyone else?
It becomes your nature.
Yes, it becomes your nature. You love doing it. It's part of you. Yes. But you get a deeper realization. You already know the answer. You've heard it before in the Gita.
When
Krishna
you're,
teaches us.
when you're serving others, you realize you are serving God indirectly.
Yes, that it. We're getting closer and closer now. Good. We're getting closer.
That every living entity is equal, like you're serving everyone is equal.
Yes, we're getting closer and closer. Greg, give it a go. Harold, give it a go. Sarah, give it a go.
Um, your pure desire is to serve, but maybe you don't recognize that at first.
Yes, that's
I don't
true.
know.
Yes, we're getting closer, closer. Pure desire. Oh yeah, I want to say yes. Good. So write this down. Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita, when you start to serve other living entities and you're doing it in the mode of goodness, I in the heart will give you scientific knowledge we just heard that actually I am not the doer. God is, when you do something so frequently, you start to understand, wait, God is working through you, empowering you. Krishna says, when you get self-realized, you realize, wait, even the oxygen I'm breathing is God sent, my lungs. So you understand, wait, there's so many things are involved, and I'm doing this service every day. Oh, wow, God is empowering me to work through me with it. This is the highest state of pure devotional service, knowing that God is working through you. So then you understand, and that's you only do it. You only get there if you do it in the mode of goodness. If we're doing something, service in the mode of passion, we will get, yes, burned out, we will lose. But if you're doing in the mode of, you know how to control your senses, you're evolving, doing it moderationally, you get this realization, oh wow, God is working through me. And when you understand that, we become happy. We joyfully do our service. We joyfully serve other living entities. Amazing. So this is what Sutta Goswami is saying here, right? He says, delight, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. So when we serve someone in the material world, they might exploit us. And that's why we are unhappy at work. Who had an unhappy day at work before? You walk in there and it's like, oh Lord. Right? Because our bosses, our temporary bosses are not in the mode of goodness. So it creates tension, right? If it's in rajas. Now, one day you walk in and they're in the mode of goodness, oh, the day at work goes smooth. But if your boss is in the mode of passion, it becomes challenging that day. But when we serve God, we understand, wait. God is already serving me many times fold. I just love serving God because it's God is serving us uninterruptedly. Right? How many of us are utilizing the force of gravity right now? As I lived on the Earth planet, that force of gravity has been there uninterruptedly. Unless you become an advanced yogi, you start to levitate. But even that's God's gift, right? For you to experience the material. We'll learn about this in the Bhagavatam, in the the Prachetas. Amazing yogis. Krishna let them understand the laws of the universe. They start to do different things which are not normal. So yeah, so devotional service to God is not like service to a material, temporary boss. Devotional service to God is joyful, enlivening for the soul. We love doing it. Yeah. Good. Next mantra. Mantra 23. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction. He accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. So this is a powerful mantra Sutta Goswami is breaking down for us. So in the Gita, we already learned about the three modes of nature, yes? So should be second nature for us by now. So when you come to the Bhagavatam, now here, Krishna Sutta Goswami is enlightening the rishis, enlightening us that each mode has a presiding deity who is in control of the three modes. So let's write them down so we can, the mode of passion, the deity, the demigod who's in charge of the mode of passion is Lord Brahma. The deity who is in charge of, the demigod who is in charge of tamas, the mode of ignorance, is Lord Shiva. And not a demigod, but we call it a Vishnu, an expansion of Krishna. He's beyond Lord Shiva, is Lord Vishnu. Now in the Brahma Samhita, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada's guru explains to us, Brahma is a jivatma, like me and you. Brahma has a soul like me and you. So we can die and take birth as not a human. We can die, take birth as a cat. We can die, take birth as a dog, take birth as a tree. We can die and take birth as Lord Brahma. So Brahma is a pose that a soul like us can achieve. So in the Brahma Samhita, it says Lord Brahma is like a soul like us. We are 78% of Krishna. Lord Shiva, he says, is 85%. So Shiva we cannot become Shiva. Lord Brahma, we can take that role of Brahma, it's a pose, but we cannot take the role of Shiva. Shiva is 85% of Krishna. And then the mode of goodness, Krishna empowers an expansion of him called Lord Vishnu. Does anyone know how much percent is Lord Vishnu of Krishna? No wrong answers. Anyone heard before?
100%?
No. Vishnu and Krishna. So there's a difference between Vishnu and Krishna. Does anyone recognize how many percent before? Anyone heard it before? Write this down. 96% of Krishna. So there's 4% that separates Krishna from Vishnu. And Srila Prabhupada explains the 4% is Krishna plays with a flute, Krishna does different things he does. But yeah, so we cannot take the Vishnu form. We cannot take the Shiva form, but we can take rebirth as a Brahma. And it's described in the Bhagavatam we'll read later on, that sometimes when the soul comes into this universe for the first time, that's the first incarnation we take. Lord Brahma. So when I read that, I was like, I went to my group. So is it, was I once a Brahma? He said, Charu, your mind? Yes, there's a possibility. But you have to really expand the consciousness. So, wow, so many universes are there. I was like, wow, yes. So Lord Vishnu, we cannot take that role. So here, Vishnu, he says, Sutta Goswami is enlightening these rishis. He's telling them of the three deities, you human beings, he says, you all are human beings. You all can get the most spiritual benefit by respect and love for Lord Vishnu. Out of Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu, the one we should recognize is Lord, or we should recognize Vishnu's purity. So we know all three modes of nature are compete. Krishna tells us in the Gita, all three modes of nature are competing for dominance over the soul. Yes? So for us to do anything, for us to initiate anything, all of us need Lord Brahma's energy. You start a new project, you start a new school, a new class, a new job, the beginning, yes? We need Lord Brahma's blessings. Then we have a job, you start a job, you have a job. For you to maintain it. So the mode of goodness is to maintain it. Yes? So you work, people work for 35 years, 40 years. Now they're ready to do their Shiva cycle. The Shiva energy is, we call it, the recycling energy. All right. A lot of times I think, people, oh, Shiva, the Lord of destruction. So negative, right? No. A better word more than destroy is recycling, right? He's the agency to terminate. Help, then the Brahma energy kicks in again. So you end one job, then you take another job. And then you're in that job for a while, then you end that. So we can see the three modes of nature working over us. So here, Sutta Goswami is saying, if you start to respect and worship Lord Vishnu, what will happen to humans? They will come into the mode of goodness. Thank you. So we know when Brahma energy is in us, we have a lot of passion. Yes, running around doing so much, burnout, right? Too much service in the mode of passion, burnout. Then, okay, we're all into yoga and meditation in this room. So how do we experience burnout as a yoga teacher? Anyone give an example?
You teach, and no time for your own practice.
Thank you. Right? So Yogicharu gets to Hong Kong. I was young. I was 24. Right? I got to Hong Kong, 24, and just, came out of the Himalayas and from the mode of goodness. And I landed in Hong Kong, which is so rajasic, yes? So then my friends, they told me, okay, this place wants to hire you. So I got one job, two jobs. Then I started teaching, got busy. So much so, I was so much in it. And because it's the nature of Hong Kong, right? People in Hong Kong, they love, it's innate. They love to work. They will start to work from morning till night. That's the life. So I got swept up in it. And some days I would do like 8 classes. But when you're young, I was just like, wow, okay. And those days I was fundraising I used to help out orphanage in Uganda and Kenya. So all the all those years I was single, right? So all my finance that I earned, I just gave it away to help orphanages. But it was just, but vote of passion. After 3 years of that, I was like, okay, I need to leave Hong Kong. And then I need to come back in the mode of goodness. So this is a way how we get burned out when we know the mode of rajas are in us. So we can do something good, but if it's burning out, yeah, it's too much. Now, and then I got to Australia. What happened in Australia? I went to the opposite. The first 6 months, I was teaching 2 classes, a lot of time on the beach. So, and I said, okay, this is the Shiva energy. Charu, let's bring it back to balance. And then I came back to a nice balance, not burnt out. And then after being in balance, since then, I've always checked it like that. I got to that place where I know my limitation. Yes. Anyone else have another example? For a yoga teacher?
Too much power flow and not enough time for Shavasana.
Yes, right? We see that in the West, right? You go to a yoga class, and sometimes I give you 1 minute Shavasana. Who's been in those classes before where the teacher tells you to lie down for 1 minute? I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to enter the mode of goodness now, right? So if you're teaching, I know sometimes the class is a little tight. Sometimes they give you an hour to teach, but at least get 5 minutes of Shavasana for the students. And if your class is longer, 10 minutes, right? The 50, if you can. And then if the studios don't allow that, then tell them I want to teach a yoga nidra class. Right? I have to bring people in the mode of goodness. Excellent. So we can see these 3 modes are constantly competing to dominate us. But the Sutta Goswami is saying, if you respect Lord Vishnu, you can get the most blessings from Lord Vishnu. We need blessings from Lord Brahma to start something. Remember, he's given that role. Krishna is empowering him to be the creator, the engineer of the universe. Shiva is given that role, empowered by Krishna to be recycling of the universe. Lord Vishnu is empowered by to maintain the universe. Yes? So, but he says, humans, specifically humans, you get more benefit if you respect Lord Vishnu. So, very beautiful mantra. And it's nice to know, wow, me and you, we can never become a Shiva, we can't become a Vishnu, but we can become a engineer of the universe, a Brahma, if we want. But the goal of life is not to become Brahma. The goal of life is to become self-realized, master. Because we'll read stories where Brahma, the mode of passion, overrides him and he does some crazy things. So we want to be in the mode of goodness. Let's go to our next mantra. Mantra 24. Oh, wow. One of my favorite mantras. Firewood. This is a beautiful analogy Sutta Goswami gives. Firewood is a transformation of earth. So the earth element turns into wood, firewood. But smoke is better than raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best because of goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. So I love this analogy. He says the wood is in the mode of tamas. Better than the wood is when you start to see smoke. And even better, that's in the mode of passion. And even better than the smoke is the fire. When the fire is blazing, then you can see, right? You can get wisdom, divine knowledge. So in the yoga culture, he gives them, because these rishis are in a forest and they're used to do fire sacrifices. So when you do fire sacrifices, the fire represents the tongue of God, the tongue of Vishnu. So when you go to a fire sacrifice, the rishis would put fruits into the fire, put grains into the fire. If you've been to an Indian wedding or an initiation ceremony, you'll see the fire. So these rishis are used to understand that fire is Lord Vishnu's tongue. So similarly, he's saying when you have transcendental knowledge, that means you are coming in the mode of goodness. When you have stagnant knowledge, you're in the tamas, you don't want to get up, you don't want to do anything, you are in the mode of tamas. That's like firewood. And as you start to move around, running around, passionate, that's like the smoke. So he says smoke is better than the wood, but fire is better than smoke. Because with fire, then you can start to see who's in the cave or see if that's a snake or a rope. With fire, you can see wisdom. Yes? Ambor Bhavaswaha, Tat Savitur. Wherever there is the sun, there is no darkness. So transcendental knowledge, when we get it, it brings us to the mode of goodness. Stay with it. That's better than being in tamas. Because when you're in tamas, we are just, even if we are hungry, we don't want to go work for it. What do people do when they're in tamas and they're hungry?
You do Uber Eats.
You're very lenient. You're very lenient, Margaret. That's in the mode of passion. I'm saying
They steal.
tamas.
They
Huh?
steal. They steal.
They steal, or even your that's still rajasic. Tamas, they will put up
Beg.
a they put up a sign at the stoplight with your car. We see it every day here, and I'm lenient, right? If I see maybe a ex-military, you can tell, right? They lost a limb or something. Yeah, I help them. But if you see some healthy youth, you're out here with a sign, looking, that's tamasic. Yeah. So they're hungry, but they don't want to go work. And there's a reason why they don't want to work, because the tamas keep them in there. As soon as they get money or anything, what do they use the money for? Drugs, alcohol, that keeps them in there, in the rut. In Belize, you give people fruits, they go sell the fruits to the market so they get money and go buy alcohol. I'm like, what? So you see, Thomas just wraps them around again and again and again. So yeah, so let's raise our vibration to the mode of goodness. Be a fire. Live life with transcendental knowledge. And then, because Rajasic knowledge, the smoke, is you'll be running around and thinking a lot about just me, myself, and I. And even if Rajas come in the mode of goodness, you're doing something good. If you don't check it, like Yogesh, you will burn out. So transcendental knowledge is the fire, the mode of goodness. Let's meditate on these mantras. Stretch the legs out. Wiggle the ankles. So it even takes effort to do Uber Eats. Right? A little rajas is still needed. And in one sense or another, you're helping someone to have a job, right? So it's energy, it's just energy exchange. So if that person didn't have that job, person will be stealing, like Babadi says. So we are grateful for brothers and sisters. But raise the vibration, mode of goodness. Bring the palms on the knees, touch the tip of the thumbs, tip of the index fingers. Close the eyes softly. Bring the whole body into stillness. Bring the mind to the breath at the entrance of the nostrils. Feel the air moving in and out. And recognize this breath is God's uninterrupted, unconditional expression of love to us. With gratitude for the breath, raise us in the mode of goodness, and we can then serve others unconditionally as well. As we serve others, we'll realize, oh, God is in their heart. Serve a plant, serve a pet, serve a fellow human being. And if you meet someone who's spiritually evolved, offer some service to them as well. We will develop a affinity to want to hear transcendental sound through the ears. As we hear transcendental sound, it is devotional service of the ears. When that happens, tamas and rajas disappear from the heart a little bit every day a little bit, and then we keep evolving with the mode of goodness. We become a master of the senses. In the last 24 hours, I want you to recognize a time when you were a master of your senses. In the last 24 hours, you used your sense, checked it in the mode of goodness. You know that moment. As you hold that moment, recognize how happy you become. Recognize when you did a service to God, to society in the last week, and how happy you were when you did that service to that living entity or living entities. Enliven the self. And Sutta Goswami is explaining to us that we're living on the earth, we will be living within the universe, which are governed by the three modes of nature. Today, tamas will affect us when we go to sleep. Rajas will affect us, we get up, we need motion. And sattva guna will affect us when we put transcendental knowledge into our waking state. And the more and more we do that, the goodness will go with us through the night as well eventually. We will start to have spiritual dreams, far out experiences. As a spirit soul, know that you can incarnate. Of the 8,400,000 species, you can incarnate in any one of those species. One of those species, Lord Brahma, engineer of the universe. We cannot become a Shiva, we cannot take that role of a Vishnu. But the three modes, the mode of goodness is important. Hence, humans, we can raise our vibration like the fire more than the smoke, passion more than the wood, tamas. Let's have transcendental knowledge, act in the mode of goodness with it, live with the scientific knowledge. Everyone around you is a spiritual being within the material elements. People will influence each other through the modes of nature. Try and keep your vibration in the mode of goodness more and more and more. Bring the gaze back to the breath. That breath is maintaining us, hence the breath is in the mode of goodness. An expression of Lord Vishnu. Take a deep inhalation. Exhale slowly, breath to normal. Bring the palms to the heart. Lower the head towards yourself, who is 78% spiritually of God. And let that force of love come out more and more, so we express that love of service. We naturally want to serve other living beings. Naturally want to serve God. That gives us happiness. Namaste. Lift the head, open the eyes, Hari Om, Tatsat. So go do a beautiful act of service in the next 24 hours and see them as spiritual beings. Try and stay in the mode of goodness. We need passion. We need tamas. We need to sleep tonight. Yes. We need, but do some mode of goodness when we are awake. Thank you, Harold. Thank you, Margaret. Mahalo, Greg. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Babadi. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Noel. Hariom, Tatsa. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you, Yogi Char.
Thank you. All right.